Hey everybody, it's week 17. It is a tough week. It's time for the FootballDiehards.com injury preview, review, update, overview thing that I like to do. I'm Bob Harris, senior editor here. Hope you've had a successful season. If you're playing on, we're here for you. It's a tough week. There are multiple levels of complexity to go with the injuries. There are the playoff implications. Let me run through those really quickly and kind of get you to where things are. And keep in mind the NFL set this up so a lot of the games, with playoff implications are later in the day. The scoreboard watching will be ongoing during the games. It's interesting. For the Chiefs, win over the Raiders or Chargers lost the Broncos, they clinched the AFC West. The win over the Raiders also gives the Chiefs the number one seed in the AFC, so they'll be playing to win. That would be great news. The Patriots, they've clinched the AFC East already, but they could get their ninth straight first round bye with a win over the Jets. They'll be playing to win. The Texans playing to win. They're already in the playoffs, but they need a win over the Jaguars to clinch the AFC South. A loss would drop them all the way down to the number 6 seed. Big difference, so they want to get this win. The Ravens, they win the AFC North with a victory over the Browns. So there are other permutations if they lose, but still they'll be playing to win. The Chargers, if they win the AFC West by beating the Broncos in Denver with some help from the Chiefs, a loss or a tie to the Raiders. Either way, they'll probably be playing to win, but watching the scoreboard, right? So there'll be a little scoreboard watching there. To see what's going on. The Titans, they need to beat the Colts to clinch a playoff berth. Vice versa, the Colts need to beat the Titans to clinch a playoff berth. So it's winning in for either of these teams. So Sunday Night Football will be lit, as the kids say. Steelers, they can clinch the AFC North with a win over the Bengals and a Ravens loss or tie. So essentially, Steelers playing to win. There are injury issues there that we'll talk about. The Saints, they're the NFC South champions. They're locked into the number one seed. They're already talking about who they're resting. They're already starting Teddy Bridgewater quarterback. I'll get into that as well in the next segment. The Rams, they get a first round bye in the number 2 seed with a win over the 49ers and a Bears loss to the Vikings. They'll essentially be playing to win. They'll be doing it without Todd Gurley. I'll also get into that, but there are issues there. And for the Bears, they can become the number 2 seed if they beat the Vikings and the Rams lose. There will be scoreboard watching in that game. The talk in Chicago is if the Rams are up big in the second half over San Francisco, that the Bears will take their foot off the gas and maybe rest some guys. So that's worth noting. The Cowboys, they're locked in as the number 4 seed as the NFC East champions. They can neither improve nor get worse. They say they're playing to win. Playing to win is a pretty vague term, and you can do that with your starters. You can do that with your second teamers, right? So that's going to be a tricky one to watch. We'll see what goes on there. Ezekiel Elliott has already clinched the rushing title, so Jane Slater from NFL Network has suggested he'll play maybe a series or two and then get out of there. That's a worry. The Seahawks, they have clinched a playoff berth. A win over Arizona or a tie with Arizona makes them the number 5 seed. If they lose and other things happen, they become the number 6 seed. So they'll be scoreboard watching there as well, I guess. The Vikings, they clinched the playoff berth with a win over the Bears or with an Eagles loss to Washington. That all starts with a win over the Bears. The Vikings are playing to win. The Eagles also, they're the number 6 seed only if they beat Washington and other things happen. Vikings lose the Bears. So Philadelphia Eagles playing to win as well. So let's get into the injury situations associated with these. We'll start with the early kickoffs because I'll do these chronologically so you have a feel for the fallback plans you need. Again, a lot of the late afternoon games are more important, have bigger playoff implications. In the morning, we have the early afternoon kickoff. We have the Dolphins, Bills, Falcons, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Giants, Panthers, Saints, Jets, and Patriots. So there's one with implications. Jaguars, Texans, implications. Lions, Packers, nothing on the line there. So Drew Brees will not play for New Orleans. He'll sit out the game. My guess is we won't see a lot of Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Mark Ingram. Could be some Dwayne Washington there. So this is one to watch. On the other side of the ball as well, Cam Newton and Taylor Heineke both out. Kyle Allen will start at quarterback. Been a lot of talk about the possibility of resting Christian McCaffrey. He's been worked very heavily this year. Kenyon Barner, one of the reserve running backs there, is listed as questionable with a knee issue, but Cameron Artis-Payne is there. Travaris Cadet is there. So McCaffrey is a little bit of a concern to me. Nothing set in stone on that, though. Ron Rivera has been very vague. That's just local observers speculating that McCaffrey's had such a heavy workload that maybe it'd be a good idea to rest him and not risk him for next year. New York Giants, Odell Beckham is out. He'll miss his 4th game with his quad injury, so essentially season is over. Same with Red Ellison, out with a concussion. Again, for Dallas, maybe we'll see some Rod Smith. Darius Jennings at tailback. Ezekiel Elliott, as I mentioned, Jane Slater works for NFL Network, covers this team on a daily basis, says Smith and Jennings got a little more work in Friday's practice than they normally would, and Elliott got less. So maybe that's a hint. Again, the Cowboys say they're playing to win. Do you do that just with your starters? Can you win with your reserves? We may find out with the Cowboys. So Green Bay Packers, nothing to play for except if you're Devontae Adams. You have a franchise record. You're 2 catches away from Sterling Sharp's franchise record for catches. He's listed as questionable with a knee injury. I'm filming this on Saturday. The Packers do a run-through practice, a pretty real practice, and often downgrade or upgrade guys after that session's over. If you watch the main page of the site, the late-breaking update section, I'll have any changes or any news from those practices coming. Otherwise, assume he's questionable. Equanimeous St. Brown listed as doubtful with concussion. Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Graham, all off the injury report. David Bakhtiari might be a little bit of a concern. Offensive line might be a concern for all these guys. Look, if the offensive line starts suffering from attrition or things happen, maybe they get worried and pull Rodgers. That's a distinct possibility. It's been mentioned by the local media. Other side of the ball, Kenny Golladay, LeGarrette Blount listed as questionable, chest and knee respectively. Luke Wilson ruled out with a concussion. Kind of leaves Levine Toilolo as the only game in town at the position. He's kind of ineffective, surprisingly. Golladay seems likely to played through the injury last time. Matt Stafford off the injury report. Not a lot of played for the Detroit Lions except pride. For the Jacksonville Jaguars at Houston, Carlos Hyde listed as questionable, Leonard Fournette listed as doubtful. We could see a heavy workloads for TJ Yeldon, David Williams, so that's worth noting. Hyde seems to be the pivotal guy here. It seems like Fournette's all but officially ruled out with foot and ankle issues. Cody Kessler heads for the bench. He's a little beat up, but mostly they want a more mobile quarterback in there against the Texans, and Blake Bortles is it. Josh Lambo, the kicker, has been ruled out again, and Kai Forbath will handle the kicking for him. Kiki Kuti on the other side of the ball listed as questionable once again with the hamstring. Very, very hard to rely on him from a fantasy perspective. With the good news, Lamar Miller off the injury report on Friday, worked fully all week. DeAndre Hopkins, again, dealing with the ankle like Miller. Hopkins played through it last week. He'll play through it again this week. Is he 100%? Doesn't look like it. Does he need to be? Probably not. It is Jalen Ramsey he'll be going up against. They have a great competition between the two of them. I'm sure DeAndre Hopkins will show up. So there you have that. The pass rush for the Jags will be a big deal because, man, Deshaun Watson's been getting hit at an alarming rate. For the Buffalo Bills, Chris Ivory's listed as questionable. Practiced fully the last couple days like he did all last week before getting questionable and was a scratch. So it seems like the Bills are looking to move on from LaShawn McCoy. Don't know what kind of workload he'll get. We saw him miss the first snap, kind of a punishment thing, had an issue with the coach last week. But he played a fair amount. Keith Ford played a fair amount as well, about an even split. I would guess maybe expecting the same going forward. In this week seems reasonable, although if we saw more Ford, it wouldn't surprise me. It's a dicey situation. Josh Allen, still the best running back in Buffalo, the quarterback. So Deontay Thompson, the wide receiver, ruled out with a toe injury. For the Miami Dolphins, everyone's been essentially off the injury report. Danny Amendola and Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill, maybe his last game as a Dolphin. Devontae Parker, likely his last game as a Dolphin. Who knows? Adam Gase, maybe his last game as a Dolphin. We'll see. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, likely Dirk Cutter's last game as a Buccaneer, and likely Deshaun Jackson's last game. He's listed as doubtful. He will not play. Reports out of Philadelphia say he wants to return to the Eagles. We'll see. It's a very unhappy relationship there. For the Atlanta Falcons, everyone off the injury report, and that includes Julio Jones with a rib and hip, Tevin Coleman with the groin. I was surprised. He'll be on. He's there. He's off the injury report. So. It'll be interesting to see what he can get done in this game. Brian Hill standing by to chip in as needed, and he chipped in well last week. Jermaine Kearse and Quincy Enunwa ruled out for the Jets. Enunwa signed a new multi-year contract extension this week after he was ruled out, but won't play this week. That leaves Robbie Anderson, who's on a bit of a roll, but he'll go up against Stephon Gilmore. Tough matchup. Chris Herndon, the tight end, an emerging player there. So those guys will be available for Sam Darnold. Hopefully he can finish strong on the other side of the ball. Of course, Cordero Patterson listed as questionable. Everyone else, Jacob Hollister's been ruled out. Dwayne Allen questionable. But Gronk and Edelman and all the guys you're counting on are healthy. We'll see if Tom Brady can get back on track in this game or if it's more of a run-heavy game. Late afternoon kicks, injuries, a lot of injury situations in this one. So keep that in mind. We've got the Eagles at Redskins, Chargers, Broncos, playoff implications abound. Raiders, Chiefs, playoff implications abound. Bears, Vikings, again. Browns, Ravens, again. 49ers, Rams, again. Bengals, the Steelers, again. Cardinals and Seahawks. So as you can see, the NFL timed out the game, so all these teams are kind of going to have to keep an eye on each other if they want to take their foot off the gas during the game. Todd Gurley will not play for the Rams. Been ruled out. C.J. Anderson, clear path again to workload. Had a huge week last week in his first week as a Ram, so people will be eager to play him. And again, clear path to workload. Matt Breida, Marquise Goodwin, Dante Pettis, and Garrett Selleck all ruled out for the San Francisco 49ers. George Kittle seems like a good play. Jeff Wilson will get the start at halfback. The receiving core will be made up of guys like Kendrick Byrne, Trent Taylor, Richie James, etc. So, set your expectations accordingly there. For Pittsburgh, this one's tough. Antonio Brown came up with a sore knee on Thursday, went out to get a second opinion, I'm guessing, on Friday, so he didn't practice, came back, he's questionable, not ruled out yet, but we don't know what the situation is. Aditi Kikumbala, the NFL Network reporter who covers that team, embedded with the Steelers, says that teammates didn't seem too worried about it, so we should, but we're fantasy owners, we will be, because you need a fallback plan. So just have a fallback in place. Same with James Conner. Practiced fully all week, coming off the ankle injury. Seems likely to play, but he drew the questionable designation, so we'll have to watch that one right up through the 90 minutes leading up to kickoff. Chris Boswell, the kicker, was placed on season-ending injured reserve. Matthew McCrane was signed to handle the placement work this week. On the other side of the ball, Tyler Boyd ruled out, placed on IR this week. No expectation he would play otherwise. The guys you've been rolling with, Joe Mixon, are available, right? So there you have it. For the Baltimore Ravens, going against Cleveland, John Brown is questionable with a hamstring injury, so that'll be one to watch there. They haven't been passing the ball a lot, right? So for the Chicago Bears at Minnesota, Allen Robinson listed as doubtful. Expect him to not play. Eddie Jackson and Aaron Lynch on the other side of the ball also doubtful, unlikely to play as well. The Vikings are in pretty good shape. Chad Beebe's out. Beyond that, Xavier Rhodes questionable, so there are some issues there, but nothing major. For the Kansas City Chiefs, Spencer Ware listed as questionable. He worked fully all this week, so I would expect him to come back. But Damian Williams, who got a new contract this week as well, seems like a good play still. Even if Ware is active, I think I'd rather play Damian Williams. He's a little ahead in our rankings, and for that reason, I mean, he's just a more versatile weapon in this offense, it seems like. But Ware he's a viable play too, as long as he's active. Sammy Watkins ruled out of this game. Darrell Williams, the other running back, third-string running back, is questionable as well. For the Seattle Seahawks, Rashad Penny, questionable. He practiced fully all the week. It seemed like he was likely to play or heading towards playing. Now he's a game-time decision. Doug Baldwin off the injury report. Added a shoulder injury this week, but seemed fine by Friday. On the other side of the ball, Ricky Seals-Jones has been ruled out of this game. Might be Larry Fitzgerald's last game as an NFL player, so maybe there's a little more effort to get him the ball. The Denver Broncos and the LA Chargers. Philip Lindsay obviously out, placed on IR. Wrist injury. Matt Lacoste off the injury report. Royce Freeman will get the start at running back. Devontae Booker will chip in. Wide receivers have tough matchups there. Other side of the ball, Austin Eckler's off the injury report. Everyone there's good to go. Keenan Allen off the injury report, so we're good to go. Washington is playing Philadelphia. Oh, so many issues. Josh Doxson listed as questionable with an illness, so he's a game-time decision. Vernon Davis doubtful with a concussion. Expect him to not play. Jeremy Sprinkle seems likely to be the starter once again. Vernon Davis was Jordan Reed was placed on IR earlier this week, so season over. Maurice Harris also placed on IR on Friday. And then that brings us to Sunday night, which is a big deal. Marcus Mariota listed as questionable with the neck and nerve issue. He's been practicing, practice Thursday, practice Friday. I mentioned this is a big game. Win and you're in for either team. So expect all hands on deck if at all possible. Blaine Gabbert will be standing by if Mariota can't go. Corey Davis came off the injury report in this one. So you have that. For the Colts, T.Y. Hilton listed as questionable, insists he will play. He's been playing through this injury and pretty much every injury he's had this year, whether he's practiced or not. Eric Ebron is the dicier one. Coming off a concussion. He's questionable. He has to get final clearance. He was on the field Thursday and Friday, so I'm guessing he's heading in the right direction. Frank Reich said as much, said he was optimistic. But that's one you'll need to watch, and you might need to have a pivot in that game. So, think of the guys on either side of the ball who you might want to pivot to at that position. It's dicey, but get the list ready. Eric and Dontrell Inman also listed as questionable in this game. So keep that in mind. So there we have it. It's week 17. Your injury review review update overview thingy majiggy that I like to do that I can almost say if I try really hard and concentrate, but I'm not concentrating. It's week 17. It's the end of the video. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in each week. I hope it's been helpful. Plenty of content on the site. It'll continue on. We'll have the live video with Armando and Bobby heading into pregame. You can listen to me on the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio pregame show with Jeff Mans. If you're watching this Saturday and you want to listen Saturday night to the Football Diehards on NFL Radio, it's our last show of the season there. Mike Dempsey and myself from 8 to 11 Eastern Time. Next week, the Football Diehards on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. We dial back to an hour a week. We'll do that for the next 3 weeks. So we're on from 7 to 8 Eastern Time, Mike Dempsey and myself. So catch that. Otherwise, tons of stuff on the site. Again, as always, Brad Cruz, John Lobb, Justin Lanero, Armando Marsal, Bobby Gomes, me, Matthew Chair. Everybody on the site is there. Emil Cadlick's got all the tools and goodies up. So get after it, kids. Good luck this week. It's been a great season. We really want to thank you. And by the way, we do go on into the postseason. It's kind of a limited subset. There won't be the daily news updates, but there will be like team notes, injury reports, news and views updates, things to keep you up to speed and keep you on top of the action. Rankings as well to get you through the playoffs. And if you're playing DFS, we'll have plenty of DFS content. So thanks a lot. Good luck this week, and I hope you stick around because we'll have stuff all off season too. I'm Bob Harris. Over and out.